I wanted to show you some of the slides that are included in my resources and how they explain how to use the Foursquare. So this is in one of my resources. I believe this one is 8th grade, and it says top left of Foursquare. So the idea is that you would model how to fill out the Foursquare several times with your students. Then you would do it where you're doing one together, and then they could do one in a group, and then eventually they can do one independently. That's the idea. So the idea of the Foursquare, and you can really use any system that you like to have them analyze a passage. This is just one of many strategies that you can use to have your students analyze a passage. So the idea is the top left of the Foursquare, that's what they would fill out first before they even read. So that's what we would call the preview strategies. So they would look at the title, the genre, the author's purpose, if there's any text features, if it's nonfiction, if they see any bold or underlined words. They're kind of scanning it and looking to see, is it fiction? Is it poetry? What does it look like? And so that would be the top left. The other boxes, the students mainly jot as they read. So, for example, it might be each paragraph or it might be each stanza. Or with fiction, it's a bit different. They might be just jotting the main elements of fiction. They might be jotting, and we'll look at those examples. So, I just wanted to let you know that the document that I shared with you as a freebie, it is editable in Google Slides. I also gave you the PDF version. So if you like to change any of the categories, especially with specific language that goes with your grade level TEKS, then you can go ahead and change that. For example, in one of the videos, you might have seen that fiction, they use the word conflict and resolution, but then in the higher grades, you might see that in using different wording. So let's go on to the next slide. So when you first introduce the Foursquare, model it, do it together with your class. This is what I was just talking about. So it tells you step by step in the resources that some of you might have that I give you on ECRs. And so now I'm going to show you some of the examples. So this one is a nonfiction Foursquare. And even though I'm modeling, I may be adding a lot more than the students will when they do it independently or in groups. That's okay. It's kind of the same concept of reading really great essays or really great literature. And if they can write a fourth of that, I'm happy as a teacher. It is the process of analyzing the passage that is important to me. I also want to point out that I personally do not require that every student do a Foursquare on a test. The reason for this, as I'm sure you can guess, is the timing. It's not realistic for them to do this on the STAAR test. Some students can do it and they do it well, especially some of the higher students. For others, it is way too time consuming on the test when they have that limited time, and the test is way too long, as I'm sure we can all agree. I will go into this more in the module that I have on online testing and accommodations. In that module, I'll give you some ideas for other strategies students can use on the test for analyzing instead of using the Foursquare. However, in class, when we have the time, and basically all year long, we do the Foursquares because it really helps students to analyze the passages. And what I recommend is starting off reading the passage to the students, doing the Foursquare, modeling that, answering some questions about the passage, and then you get into the ECR or the SCRs. By then, they're going to really understand the story, and you're not having to then stop and make sure that they got the story, because everyone understands the story. You're just focusing at that point on teaching how to write the ECR. So that is my thoughts on that, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson.